Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday Theolog. I am actually recording this on a Monday, so I don't know if anything will change later today in regards to this very topical thing that we're going to be discussing. The reason that I wanted to talk about this is because it's a pretty big moment for me in my life, because I am old enough to remember September 11th. Like very coherently, and also like know that this is like, I'm 28 years old, right? And so um seeing how this has been a basically a theme for the majority of my life, and something that I've felt personal attachment to in a lot of ways, not only through military stuff like that, but also just through seeing how it started, and now seeing how it's ended, which has been pretty poorly. I think everyone is in agreement on that, regardless of how you felt about the war in Afghanistan. I think that everyone, regardless of that feeling, is probably pretty disappointed with the way that the United States has handled our leaving of Afghanistan. But I actually, I'm not going to talk about the political, military side of things, because that's not my job. I actually want to talk about maybe how this can impact us as Christians in the United States when it comes to thinking about our role in the country and also our role in the world. The reason I actually wanted to bring this up partly as well is because I know that many people probably have thoughts on it, because yesterday, being Sunday, I usually before everyone shows up, we have to do tests on the sound equipment and everything to make sure it's coming through on the stream and stuff like that. And Scott always does this thing where he wants me to like talk like I'm talking in a sermon, and I really don't like that, because I just I can't fake that. It's difficult for me. So I just either start reading the Bible or reading the bulletin, or I'll just talk about something random. And so I kind of jokingly asked everyone what their thoughts on the geopolitical situation in Afghanistan was, people in the room or whatever, and everyone was clearly very disappointed with it, and saddened and things like that. And so I know it's affected many people, and not just myself. And so how, as we as Christians, should respond? Well, I think what the war in Afghanistan, and not just the war in Afghanistan, many policies of the United States reveals a lot about something about Americans. Um, and for those of you who aren't American, and follow this page, this might just be really interesting for you, because you can kind of get like an inside scoop on how I view American culture, and maybe you've seen this as well. As Americans are very altruistic. I think that we are very nice people, generally, especially when it comes to wanting to help other people in the world. The problem is that we also have the attention span of a goldfish in a lot of these areas. And what I mean by that is like that if we do something and results aren't immediate or isn't good, we want to leave the situation as quickly as we can, or change things, or kind of get out or do something. And I think many people don't realize that is maybe not the best policy at all times. And I think that we end up in the long term hurting our relationships with other people, because one of the things that ends up happening with that, and this is also reflects our divided nature, because one administration will take one thing, and the next administration will completely undo everything and try their own thing, right? Because they don't want to be associated with the last people. We're very fickle in that way as well. Um, is that we end up being very double-minded. I actually was thinking of the passage from a Revelation where Jesus is condemning one of the churches in the beginning, and he is talking about how they are not cold and they're not hot. They're lukewarm, and lukewarm is being the worst possible thing you can be, right? Because it doesn't mean that your heart is totally in it. It just means that you are halfway there. And I realize that America is like that in many places around the world, where we are very acting one way and then immediately pivoting, going another way, and then kind of settling for just a very malaise type thing that it doesn't really hurt or help. But well, I mean, it usually ends up hurting, I guess, in the long run. And it ends up kind of leaving us in a place where we, as a country, reflect very bad policy out into the world. And I think for us as Christians, especially because as Americans, right, we vote, and the big way that we can affect things is by being very conscious of the decisions that we are making and the way we are feeling about things, right, as American people, especially as American Christians, because that is how one of the best ways that we can help and love our neighbors, right, both in the United States and around the world. And oftentimes, I think this is a good lesson for us to be very conscientious of these decisions that we make, right? That we cannot be swept up by crowds. We cannot be swept up by what is popular or unpopular, what is easy or more profitable for us to do one thing over another thing, right? We have to really make these decisions because we morally believe it is right. Say what you will about the Taliban, but the Taliban, for all of their many terrible sinful faults, never once doubt their purpose or their mission, right? And I think, and obviously that's because they're religious, extremely religious, and I think people who try and downplay that are wrong. They're incredibly they're religious. That's why they were able to fight for, 6 years or whatever in caves against the Soviets, and then 20 years in caves against us, and leave, and not really have to worry about anything. It's that type of fervor that you have to have when you enter into these situations, right? So that we really need to care and know we are morally right in doing something, instead of just kind of being like, well, we want to do this now, and then, it doesn't work, we'll change later, because this really impacts how other people view us, right? And shows where our own priorities are at. If we, as Christians, do not prioritize the good, the true, and the beautiful, which we are called to do, and to love our neighbors, and instead look for cheap and easy solutions wherever we can find them, we cannot be surprised when people call us hypocrites, right? We cannot be surprised when God finds us lacking in the grace and love department, when as soon as it gets difficult or hard to love, that we back away, right? I think that one of the things that's really difficult with this situation, in particular, is just that it's revealed a lot about the United States, probably in many ways the same way, and I know this is not a unique take at all, but in the way that Saigon revealed a lot about the United States, and the Vietnam War revealed a lot about the United States as well. And so, this is a good historical learning lesson for us all. It's sad. We should be praying for the people of Afghanistan. I think we as Christians should be hoping that we can get out people who assisted us and whose lives are going to be in danger because of our leaving. And so we should pray that our government takes steps to allow people who are in great danger of their lives for being our friends to get out of the country. Because if that didn't happen, that would kind of be the last final insult to the Afghani people. So I think that it's sad, and it's unfortunate. But God is still sovereign. God still rules, and we will see how this impacts things at the end of time, when we will finally have a full picture. So everyone, go out there, have a nice Tuesday, rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow for Bible study, and then Thursday for another Theolog. Peace out.